My name is Sam, and I'm a parent here at Acton Academy Silicon Valley. My daughter goes to Discovery One, and she's a Discovery One hero. I wanted to join Acton Silicon Valley because I wanted to make sure that the seeds that we were planting in our daughter's head to bear good fruit mirrored and matched for what she was getting out of a school. And it probably comes from my own disdain from school. I came up in a public education system, and it was terrible for me. Honestly, like that whole experience going all throughout high school, same story, right? Nobody can explain why I was learning anything, right? I remember asking my geometry teacher, like, how do I apply this stuff? Like, why do we learn this stuff? And he's like, well, because that's what we have to do. I'm like, but like, how do I use it? How do I use it in life? And he couldn't answer that question. And I feel like I wasted a lot of time with that. And I didn't take from school. I didn't want that for my daughter. I wanted my daughter to take from school. I feel like I lost so much time because education is so important. I lost a lot of time. I don't want my daughter to lose that time. So I wanted to make sure she was in an environment that will plant those good seeds to bear good fruit, right? The things that we value, right? The things that we continue to push for, challenging herself, getting out of her comfort zone, learning new things, having a love for learning, honestly. When we have a love for learning, I didn't care if she learned fractions or memorized fractions. I didn't care if she was, doing multiplication. So what? Does she love learning enough to actually do that and learn that herself as an adult? So that was a main driver in us, joining Acton. Acton addresses these things just from aligning with the same vision, right? It's an environment where the love for learning is all around, and the whole environment, from the culture to the staff to the tools that they're using to everything around a day-to-day is built upon the love for learning, right? These kids set targets. These kids move with intent. These kids have purpose behind them. They work on communication. It's so lifelike, and this is what I love about this school. It's so lifelike. 80% collaborative, project-based, 6 weeks on, 1 week off. It's very dependent on, what we're trying to accomplish, and then just banging that. We're bringing the life to the classroom, as Maria likes to say, and there's no other school like it. When you come into a culture like this, they don't just go through the motions, right? Everybody on this team, everybody around this culture has expectations, and when you come into this culture, the staff has expectations of your child. The peers have expectations of their other peers. Anybody else, the parents, they have expectations for their children. So, they look at the kids like geniuses already, and they don't look at them like, just a child. They look at them as untapped potential. And that's the same way I look at my daughter. She's untapped potential. It's really what we can do on this thing, and nurturing that to where she can actually reach her full potential. Most adults will not reach their full potential because they don't practice the things here at Acton. She brings home work, we have discussions, she's curious, right? The love for learning is there, like I mentioned, and she hits targets. She moves with intent. So, I know adults that don't even set targets. I know adults that just kind of fly by life and they have no purpose behind them. So she absolutely does that. And when she takes her work home, it's because she absolutely wants to do it. It's because she's excited to do it. And that's the kind of energy I want to foster with all my children, not just my oldest born, but all my children. I want to keep that love for learning. I've noticed tremendous growth in my daughter. She's a better communicator. She takes more initiative, hell of a salesperson, and got better with business training. She loves certain topics, and she'll actually want to role play certain topics like sales, especially around the entrepreneurship block. She wanted to practice role playing. She wanted to practice, how do I sell somebody at the business fair, right? And we talked about, checking the attitude, right? Big smile, check the attitude, right? It's a big deal. Greeting the customer, fact finding out what they really want, doing a sales presentation. How do I move from the sales presentation now to the close? Like, she was asking all these questions, and then she made me role play all these scenarios where she was a shop owner and I had to come in and then buy something, and then she had to figure out, okay, what does this person need? That was the main thing that we wanted to hit. It was just a love for learning, So she has that, she takes it home with her. And like I said, we hear about all the projects, we hear about exhibitions, we hear about, the themes that they're doing, we hear about, what was happening at school. There's never like, okay, how was school? Oh, it was good. It's like, oh, this happened today, or this happened today. There's so much excitement there. And it's infectious. It's infectious. One of my favorite things about this school is they don't put limits on potential. One of my favorite speakers, his name is Les Brown. He was talking about how he coming up in school wasn't really smart. He was labeled as mentally retarded. And all throughout school, he was telling himself the story, right? He's telling himself the story that he's a little bit retarded, he's slow, he can't learn. So finally he hooked up with the teacher, and his teacher said, hey, come in, son, do that problem on the board. He said, well, I can't, sir. He said, why not? He said, well, because I'm, labeled mentally retarded. He said, never say that in my classroom again. Never think that about yourself. And from there on, he kind of starts shifting his mind. So fast forward to, as an adult, he had a target of hitting $1 million and buying his mom a house. That's what he wanted to do. And he says, dude, hitting $1 million was easy. That was the easy part. It was believing that I can hit the $1 million. That was the hard part, and that's what took so long. Thinking about that, just having the mindset, right? Putting your child in the best environment to thrive. And this is hands down the best school I've ever been to. My daughter's 10 years old. She's been to Montessori, she's been to Waldorf. This is hands down the best model, and I am extremely happy here.